Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining. We will probably give everyone a couple of minutes, get their coffee. It was really the holidays, I would say hot cocoa, but we'll give everyone a couple of minutes to hop into the webinar, and then we'll get started. Um, while we wait, we can kick things off with some quick introductions. While I'm speaking, my name is Emily, and I've been on the customer success team at Rockerbox for almost 3 years. Probably have worked with some of you who are in the webinar today. So for anyone that I've had the pleasure of working with, good to see you again. Anyone new, it's great to meet you. We're really excited to kick things off today, talking through how you can leverage Rockerbox to really get ahead of holiday planning, and then some best practices for measuring performance and continuing to drive optimal performance across all of your channels for the upcoming holiday season. So we're super excited to kick things off and hop right in. I'll let Patrick, since you're next on my left, introduce yourself as well.
Everyone, my name's Patrick, and am I echoing? Can you hear me?
You're all good.
Everyone, I'm Patrick. I'm a CSM here at Rockerbox. I joined this year after spending the last several years actually as a client of Rockerbox, working directly with some of the members here of the CSM team against the different use cases I was working at previously at a different company. And yeah, really excited to show you some of the tips and sort of insights that I've learned coming into holiday during this session, and hoping we can give you guys something valuable to take back to your team today.
Hey, I'm Tasia. I've been a CSM at Rockerbox for just about 2 years now. I'm sure I probably also worked with some of you, and if not, great to meet you. Hope to be working with you soon in the future.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. And some quick rules of the road before we get started. Yes, we're recording this session, so it will be available to be shared with any of your teammates or industry friends who think there are some great insights shared. We hope that you find that. So we'll share the recordings after the call. We absolutely mean for this to be somewhat of a collaborative session, and hope that you get the most value out of this hour as well. So if you have any questions as we go, feel free to just type them over in the sidebar or to say hello. We'll be monitoring the questions as we go. So don't worry, your questions are heard, and we'll make sure that there's time to address each of them as we go as well.
Cool. Should we give it a few more, or should we dive in?
Let's get started. Given that this is recorded, anyone who missed our introductions and really would love to see those, they can have them after. But as I mentioned, we're really excited to kick things off what feels like very early for the holiday season. If you're anything like me, I'm still holding on to summer. But we found from working with many of our advertisers that, it's never too early to begin planning, especially as you consider potentially testing new channels for your holiday season and might need to begin testing before it's really critical to begin ramping up spend. You might be launching new creatives and trying to identify what works best. It's really a critical period for making sure that you have both those clear goals in mind for what performance needs to be during Black Friday and the following holiday season, and also that you're prepared with the best marketing materials, whether that's the marketing channels that you'll be running, your individual tactics, all the way down to having your audiences and creatives fully built out. Now is the time to really be getting ahead of that and using many of the tools in Rockerbox. This will be very easy, especially for the customers on the call who are already working with Rockerbox, to begin accessing these insights today. As a little bit of a quick background on anyone who's a bit less familiar with Rockerbox, Rockerbox is a marketing measurement platform that equips you with all of the tools you need to make data-driven decisions about your marketing. We do this by collecting and tracking both third-party advertising platform data and then first-party marketing data across all of your marketing channels, and then allow you to see all of this performance and user behavior in one place, again, against your entire marketing mix. So from having all of this consolidated data, you're then able to apply dozens of use cases on top of this, some being identifying in-channel optimization opportunities, very easy across all of your individual channels, tactics, etc. You're able to compare performance across channels by having an apples to apples view of what performance looks like across each of your individual marketing channels, whether that's digital or offline, paid or non-paid. And then also you're able to identify trends in that performance across channels over time. So those are just a few of the core use cases that many of our existing Rockerbox customers leverage today and will continue to leverage heavily heading into the holiday season. Today we'll get very specific and share some specific use cases that you'll be able to leverage Rockerbox for. So each of us will walk through one of our kind of best practices for what we'd recommend you leverage in the Rockerbox platform, either heading into holiday season or when you're in the swing of the holidays, you don't have much time to be identifying these optimization opportunities, but you need to continue driving really strong performance. So we're excited to take a kind of very tactical look today. We'll be hopping into the UI and then also sharing some best practices in this slide deck that Tasia has up. So I will let the team kick things off. Let's get started.
Cool. Yeah, I can start off here. So the first thing I think about coming into the holiday season, operationally first, is like early preparation. I think probably a lot of y'all will be able to relate to the fact that even though the peak holiday rush is probably going to be that Black Friday, Cyber Monday sort of week in November and following, the work and the preparation and all of the sort of investigating into how you're going to win the season starts, as early as you may have already started at the beginning of the month, right? So preparing yourself as a client or as an advertiser is very important, but I also think that heading into the holiday rush, preparing your customers to make informed purchase decisions is very important as well. And for me, I always like to recommend a couple of like best practices, I'd say, for sort of priming your customers with your brand awareness heading into that holiday season by leveraging your top of funnel channels ahead of that peak holiday rush and trying to time up the sort of brand discovery with hopefully the conversion behaviors that are going to be happening during that peak time when you may be running particular promo sales or just looking to have people convert given that really high traffic time of year. So the first tip of the day is going to be about filling your top of funnel channels ahead of that peak holiday rush. We're going to hop into the UI shortly within the Journeys tab to help you sort of get a sense of how you can identify your most effective top of funnel channels. And then we can also take a look at the estimated time to convert. Estimated time to convert for some of those top of funnel channels and see which ones you should be considering scaling up to and on what time horizon heading into that peak rush of the season. So Tasia, if you could hop into the UI for me. Awesome. So for those of you who may not have been here before, we're in the Journeys tab within the funnel position view in here. And I recommend a client come in here to get a sense of sort of the most effective first touch channel in their marketing mix to get an idea of where are their customers actually discovering and encountering the brand for the first time. So in this case here at the bottom of the table, I would click into that first touch percentage filter just to see which channel is going to be indexing the most towards discovery touch points. In this case here, it's going to be paid social. We're going to be able to filter down within paid social to see the different channels you're actually running. So within Facebook, in this case, it looks like this is going to be the highest first touch discovery channel. And we're going to take a look at within full funnel, they're going to be the campaigns that we see are driving the most discovery behavior for this customer. And so this is where I would identify the top of funnel channel that I would most prioritize, I'd say, going into holiday season, and one when I think about priming my customers to get familiar with the products we're selling, sort of get an introduction to the brand. I'd like to invest here ahead of time as best I can to make sure that, when that Black Friday deal comes around, they don't have to think too much about whether it's going to be the right purchase for them, and they can just go ahead and convert and make everyone's life a little bit easier. So here's where I would identify those top of funnel components. And then I would hop over from here, back up into the Journeys tab at the top, and go into the Marketing Paths view. Here, yep, exactly. And this is where I'm going to be able to start putting together the customer pathway to conversion, knowing those top of funnel channels. So I think you can see these filters here that we have selected at the top. Within First Touch, I'm going to put in paid social, which is where we saw our top of funnel channels coming from. It was Facebook, full funnel, and I believe it should just be DPA and the top ads in this case. And once we have that filter in, we're going to be able to scroll down just a bit and see down here under the Summary Stats tab, where you can see these breakouts between your entire marketing program, which will be reflected in the All column, and within the subset, which is going to be representative of the time to convert for the specific filter that you selected at the top. In this case, it's going to be those top of funnel ad sets that we're seeing in Facebook. And we're going to see the difference between the average time to convert for this pathway. And I find this view to be really helpful, especially during holiday time when the onus is going to be on the quickest path to value, right? Getting sort of like tightening up the customer journey to conversion in a way that's going to get us to revenue as quickly as possible. So in this case, you'd be able to see that I'd recommend starting sort of the heavy up on these top of funnel awareness channels at least 12 days out from when you would like to start seeing those conversions come in. And on a related note, down here in the path to conversion view, with some of these visualizations, you're going to see that we have these top of funnel touch points being reflected in the magenta color. And then you're going to see in the mint, spearmint, whatever, turquoise that might be, you're going to see the bottom of funnel touch points that are actually going to be converting those customers who are finding it via Facebook. And we also have some really handy readouts here on the right-hand side where you're going to see the average revenue, total revenue associated with those different sort of touch points. And that's going to help you with some of your projections and forecasting for return on ad spend once you have this sort of idea of what the time to convert window is going to look like. So that's sort of the walkthrough I'd give for identifying the top of funnel channels, using your specific marketing data to start priming your customers heading into holiday. I think one last thing I would, just for the sake of sort of like driving this point home, is Tej, if we could scroll up to the top at this page as well, and we can look at, say, obviously we took a very data-driven approach by looking at what the highest number of first touch points are going to be. But I think clients who may not have access to these great insights that like Rockerbox provides would potentially see that, we're running OTT. We consider that traditionally to be like a top of funnel discovery channel. In this case, if we put first touch OTT just based off of that sort of like gut instinct, here at the top, we're going to see in that subset breakdown that the time to value in terms of driving revenue is actually going to be a lot longer of a time horizon compared to what we verified as like a data supported decision for where our top of funnel investment should go with paid social. So in this case, I think it's just helpful in this case to highlight that, as marketers, sometimes we may fall into the sort of like habits of identifying which of our channels we think are playing different roles in our marketing mix. But what's really helpful with Rockerbox, especially going into like a high pressure time of year, is that we're going to have data to support all of the decisions we're making for our marketing mix. And so we're going to take a lot of that guesswork out of the process. And I think in doing so, we're going to create a lot quicker path to conversion and provide more value for both the customers and yourselves as advertisers. Happy to take any questions on the top of funnel filling. I haven't seen any come across just yet, but if anyone else has seen some, happy to go over.
Something I'll add too while we pause for any questions to be dropped in the chat is with that view and with actually the majority of the views that are available in the Rockerbox UI, most customers should be able to separate out user behavior stats for new customers versus repeat customers. So, traditionally, many advertisers, at least in the past few years for Black Friday, have been trying to drive new customers into the funnel, maybe acquire those customers who have always been interested in the product, but have been looking for more of that discount period before making a purchase. So if you wanted to see just the time to convert, for example, against a new customer, you can just pop on this new customer filter. If this year, given potential like budget cuts around this holiday season compared to last, maybe you're looking more to achieve repeat purchases against existing customers with a combination of, say, retargeting and your email and mid-funnel or bottom funnel channels, you're actually able to pop on that repeat customer filter and see if the time to convert or other stats that Patrick just walked through are changing in any meaningful way. And often we do see that user behavior against new versus repeat customers is pretty different. So for brands who have a strong repeat customer base and are also looking to acquire new customers, I'd recommend taking a look at kind of the exercise Patrick just walked through against each of these different customer types. And it looks like we have one question. Patrick, how many conversion events are needed for these conversion times to become stable?
Can we hop back into the UI, Tasia? In that marketing path view. I think I'm understanding the question. As I think of it, I'd call it sort of like these are the as you scroll down here towards the bottom, Tasia. We're going to have like the associated number of volume of conversions for your selected time period that are associated with these different paths to conversion. I wouldn't say, I don't know if I'd say that like there's a certain number of conversion events that are like needed to stabilize these conversion times as much as it is a reflection of what we've already collected for you. And what we have there reflected in the UI is going to be representative of like essentially the real-time data that we've collected from what we're tracking in your marketing mix. So there's not, sort of like we need 5 events to say that this is a reliable sort of estimate. It's just going to be a reflection of what we've been able to time up based off what we tracked.
I can also jump in here. I think it's less a question of how many conversion events and more a question of how long should you wait before those conversion times become stable. And that's really dependent on what your typical time to conversion looks like. If you have, let's say, a higher AOV product that takes like a longer time to convert, the longer path to consideration, let's say like an average of 30-day cycle to convert, then you might want to wait 30 days before you have enough conversion data in Rockerbox to determine what customer behavior looks like, either on like a new versus repeat level, or against each of your different tactic types. If you have a shorter time to convert, then obviously a 7-day window should be enough to set like a pretty accurate time to convert. But ultimately, the longer that you're on Rockerbox, the more accurate your times to convert will be.
It's another good reason to start any new channel testing today, so you have those, more fixed and statistically significant data points in Rockerbox, because we've been able to see that full path to conversion from the ad exposure to the time that this customer ultimately converts. Awesome. Tasia, do you want to take us into the next recommendation?
Cool. So the next tip really revolves around how you're able to leverage Rockerbox to make quick in-channel decisions while you're also simultaneously thinking about your cross-channel optimizations. While Rockerbox does track everything across your channels, it also tracks in-channel performance and is able to give you quick recommendations against any goals against CPA or ROAS that you set, so that as you day over day through the holiday period are making quick decisions either day over day or midweek, day over day, or even week over week, you are able to quickly determine what campaigns are overperforming or underperforming based on the goals that you set. Again, the idea here is to make that in-channel optimization time as minimal as you need to, so that you can really focus on that cross-channel strategy or driving new creatives or figuring out where to shift budget between different channels. So to that, we actually have a view in Rockerbox that I'll share that pulls in all your in-channel performance data. Pull that up. Cool. So here we are in this channel performance view, which you can find under the attribution channel performance tab. What this view pulls in is in-channel performance exactly as you would see it in Facebook Ads Manager, Google Campaign Manager, or your other ad platforms. Rockerbox also pulls in all the conversion types that you have set up in that platform. So that way, if you're optimizing against something against conversion, you can set goals at the various levels, as well as your in-channel attribution windows. Down here, you'll see all that campaign performance broken out the same way that you would see it in your campaign manager, with the added benefit of being able to set a goal. We can set goals at multiple levels depending on what filters you're leveraging. Again, with the goal being to quickly identify what's over and underperforming. Setting a goal is pretty simple. You can choose your goal metric, either CPA or ROAS. And then against either, you can choose a 7-day exponential moving average, which is where Rockerbox takes the last 7 days of performance and gives you a recommended goal against your campaign performance, and then optionally set a budget. So if we hit apply this goal, you can see that up here, a couple of new metrics pop up, your actual spend, the ROAS goal that Rockerbox has set for you against your average ROAS. And then down here, the most valuable part is the actual recommendations against each campaign, but depending on whether they're over or underperforming. You'll see quick recommendations against how much to increase spend by or decrease spend, as well as down here, you're seeing insufficient data because of low conversion numbers, meaning that Rockerbox does not have a statistically confident recommendation, but you can always gut check against this ROAS versus goal number to identify what's underperforming or what's overperforming. You can also take this down to the next level and filter for specific campaign types, as we know that different campaigns have different ROAS or CPA goals. For instance, a prospecting campaign might have a higher CPA goal than a remarketing or conversion-based campaign. You can always filter leveraging the advanced filters up here. I've actually already set some up in this tab. And so here we're filtering for just sale-based campaigns, which typically have a higher ROAS, so you expect to perform better than any other campaign type. And then down here, we can do the exact same exercise where you set a goal. And against these, we can set a fixed target, since we know that typically goal-based campaigns have like a very specific target to hit. So let's say if we do 4.5 as a ROAS, you can hit apply, which gives you quick recommendations on what's on target, what's insufficient, and where to decrease your spend. Again, the idea here being that you can help your channel managers or make quick decisions and make sure that those are aligning with what you're seeing either in cross-channel performance as well, or help you focus on your cross-channel strategy as you think about new channels to test, even in the middle of holiday. Cool. I'll pause there for any questions.
Yeah, I think that's a great tool to leverage, especially in the thick of Black Friday when you're trying to spend time with your family, but we know all marketers are having their kid in one hand and their computer in the other making optimizations. That tool is a great way to very quickly identify what are the most impactful optimization opportunities that I can be executing on right now, so that you don't need to cut through all of the clutter of maybe your evergreen campaigns that are just kind of running in the background but aren't being actively optimized. You'll be able to identify, campaign A is seeing a lower CPA than campaign B. Let's push some spend here and get on with my day. So especially for all of the channel managers out there who are running a ton of Facebook and TikTok and Google ads during that time, setting specific goals for whatever your Black Friday CPA or ROAS goal will be is, a great time saver for making sure that you're continuing to optimize into what's strongest performing. Awesome. Well, if there are no questions, we'll hop into our last recommendation, which will actually be, since you guys are here, I wanted to tease out a new functionality that will be introduced in the Rockerbox UI in the next couple of weeks, just in time for the holiday season. And this is the ability to see time-based comparisons directly within the Rockerbox UI in that cross-channel report that so many of you leverage to see the overall health of your marketing mix and then trends on an individual channel level. So this view will be used both to identify diminishing returns during your holiday season. So you're steadily increasing spend over time, maybe for the 2-week period leading up to Black Friday and then through Cyber Monday. At some point, every dollar that you spend will hit that point of diminishing returns where you've reached the maximum number of customers that will convert off of this specific campaign or from this specific audience. So being able to identify diminishing returns is really important to understand when you've hit that maximum spend level across each individual channel or audience that you're running within those core marketing channels. And then for many of you who have been working with Rockerbox for, say, the past year, we were able to measure last year's holiday performance as well. You'll be able to see how this year's spend, conversions, ROAS, or CPA across channels compares to how you performed last year, to make sure, if the goal is to hit a stronger number of conversions or to hit a different ROAS goal compared to last year, you'll be able to very easily track that performance in the UI rather than needing to export reports from Rockerbox or from each of your individual ad platforms. So Tasia, let's hop into the UI and we can give you guys a sneak peek of this new view that we'll be launching again in the next couple of weeks. So as I mentioned, this time period comparison will first be available in the cross-channel attribution report. And this comes from a lot of feedback from our existing customers where you really need to see your performance data in context of what happened last week, last month, last year at this time period in order to make informed decisions. So Tasia, if we can just scroll down for a minute and we'll show an example. Right now, we're looking at the past 7 days, so this week compared to the previous 7 days. And you can see that same view of performance across channels, but now showing our conversion, revenue, spend, CPA, and ROAS for the past 7 days compared to the previous. So if we look at Performance Max, for example, we can see that this week there's been a slight decrease in conversions against PMAX. It makes sense because we've also seen a slight decrease in spend, and actually ROAS has increased a little bit given that we're spending less on the channels. So probably what happened within this kind of dummy data is there were some campaigns where spend was not as efficient as it needed to be. We cut back on spend from those specific campaigns, and then we're actually able to see that improvement in ROAS. So when we start to think about, say, diminishing returns, where you start to see that ROAS is slowly trickling off day over day or week over week, you'll be able to easily see, there's red in our ROAS column. That means that we're seeing worse performance this week compared to last week. And maybe that's a signal that we should go into the campaign or for certain channels, ad group, or even the creative level and begin to cut spend on those specific placements that are seeing a drop in ROAS this week compared to last week, and then maybe even allocate that budget back into the campaigns that are seeing the opposite effect, where ROAS is actually increasing or is at least staying flat, which is, if you've already hit that ROAS target, a flat ROAS is absolutely a good outcome during this holiday period, especially. So you're able to see this breakout at all levels of granularity across all of your channels, and I would highly recommend maybe even filtering for the paid channels that you'll be heavying up on during the Black Friday season. You can save this UI view so that you can easily come back into this exact report, see a filtered view of all of those paid advertising channels, and then see, from linear, from OTT, from paid social, those three, say, top of funnel channels that Patrick had mentioned, where are we hitting diminishing returns where we cannot increase spend more, at least without making significant optimizations within the channel, or where are we continuing to see strong performance? And those are the channels that it probably makes sense to continue increasing spend on as you continue to ramp into the holiday season. So we'll be sharing more about how this time period comparison works and some best practices around how you can optimally leverage it to get the most value from all of your marketing channels over the holiday season. But just wanted to share a quick sneak peek of what's coming that will be a really helpful tool as you prepare for the holiday season. Awesome. Any questions there? As always, during your, say, monthly or quarterly syncs with your Rockerbox CSM, Tasia and Patrick and Litong and James and Kelsey and our strong team of CSMs will be happy to answer any questions about some of these best practices leading up to holiday. I definitely recommend sharing with them some of what your goals are during the holiday season. So even if you have a specific CPA goal that you're looking to hit across all of your channels, or if you're preparing to increase Facebook spend by 30% during the holiday season, share those goals with your CSM. They'll be able to point you in the right direction for making sure you're able to easily measure performance during the holiday season. And hopefully it's easier than ever with this whole toolkit available to you to continue to get the most and drive efficient performance during this critical season where for some businesses, you're making the majority of your revenue. One other plug that I'll add while we're here is for any customers who are going to be launching new channels during the holiday season, please reach out to support@rockerbox.com as soon as you can, letting them know that you'll be launching that channel in the next couple of weeks or months so that we can get ahead of tracking those individual channels. As many of you know, we have dozens of integrations built out against each individual marketing channel. So, half a dozen linear TV integrations, probably 24 display and native integrations. So there's a good chance that we already have an existing tracking mechanism built out for the new channel that you're testing. But if not, we definitely want to make sure that we're taking steps to prepare for that. So please reach out to, again, support@rockerbox.com with any new channels that you will need tracked in Rockerbox. Tasia, Patrick, anything else you'd like to add?
Nothing too much from my side, but I see that Ashley and Maggie are hopping back on, so we can throw it back to them.
Awesome. Well, thank you all so much. I think this was the perfect session to kick us off into holidays. We have a full day of events, and I think Maggie will probably tease the rest of the sessions here in just a second. But I did just want to say, I think, there's some really cool things coming that we've launched recently in the last 6 to 8 months at Rockerbox, and also what you guys were just sharing. I think we kind of threw it into this presentation under the radar a little bit, but time-based comparisons are going to be really great. I think to your point, Emily, it's a huge opportunity for brands who are looking to compare specifically relevant in the holiday season. And I think we have so much, generally speaking, going on around the holidays, and brands who, to Emily, your point, are driving a significant portion of their revenue, in just a couple of days each season. It can be really difficult, I think, to prioritize measurement and attribution. But I just wanted to thank the three of you, because I think focusing back on what does it look like to actually track our success and then do something about that, that can set brands up for so much more success in an area that might be an afterthought sometimes, right? When you're just so worried about getting everything else up and running the way it's supposed to be, it's oh, I should have set something up to measure this, or I should have done this or that. And so I think it's really timely that you guys were here and sharing all of the ways that Rockerbox can help support our customers around the holiday season. Because I think measurement and attribution during a heavy up is arguably one of the most critical things that you can invest your time and effort and energy into. So I appreciate the three of you. Maggie, tell us what else we have going on for the rest of the day.
Yeah, and great job, guys. So next up, we have Ben joining us for a presentation on diversified measurement. Ben is a fantastic presenter. He joined us for summer camp just a few months ago, and he's back with a new topic for us today. So continuing the theme of measurement, you should get an email in about 7 minutes from Demio with your link, or that calendar invite also has your unique link that you can join. If there's anyone else on your team who you think should join this session or any of the others, they can still register. I just dropped the link there into the chat, so not too late to register at all. And I think that's probably it. So we will see you guys over there in just about 22 minutes. All right, bye.